it's crazy because I spent all offseason asking Cowboys reporters. I remember when I was in for Anthony, I talked to Baldy, and I'm like, Baldy, what are they doing? Why are they not signing CeeDee Lamb? Why are they not signing Dak Prescott? Like, it's just going to be more expensive, right? Well, they got him signed, and the opener against the Browns, they really gave it to him. Do we have Jeff? Is Jeff here? Jeff Cavanaugh talking Cowboys with our sister down there in DLLS. Man, you just got a couple weeks going on down there with the ALLCITY Network. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, how you doing? Good morning. You do this early, huh? Okay. I live in the past. So in the past, it's only like 7 something. So it's very early. Let's kick it. Hi, good to see you.
I'm surprised because here's what I normally get when I ask people to do the show. Wow, well, it's earlier. I got kids. I have kids. I'm taking the kids to school or whatever. So when I said, Tyler, let's try to get Jeff on, he's like, yeah, he'll do it. I'm like, damn, thank you.
Yeah. No, yeah. You're fortunate that my childhood trauma has led to me never having children. So I'm always free. I can do whatever. Yeah.
All right, so listen, you've been on the Dallas sports scene for a really long time. We both used to work for the Odyssey stations down there, or I was up here. But as somebody that's covered the Cowboys in the media, as a Cowboy fan down there, what is it like with Jerry Jones being the owner of the team? And he's not like any other owner that's out there. He's doing weekly hits on 105.3 The Fan. He's visible. He's commenting after games, not something that even GMs do. But what is it like covering Jerry Jones on a daily basis?
It's fun. I think that's the top thing is if your job is to talk about that football team, it's fun. He just gives you content all the time. And it's a challenge sometimes because there's a lot of times where what Jerry has to say, I remind people like, guys, what Jerry Jones says doesn't matter. And it doesn't mean anything. Don't worry about it. But then it's like, everybody's going to talk about these things. So let's go ahead. It's a real weird situation where obviously he has a gigantic ego that insists that he has a title in front of his name, that he doesn't do that job, right? He's the GM. No, he's not. He's not the general manager of the Cowboys. But he insists on the name because he does have last say on everything. So it's a ton of fun. The best part is I feel like in a lot of cities, an owner of a team that is super into listening to everything that people say, like Jerry is, would also want to control things. He couldn't care less. Talk good about me, talk bad about me, just talk about me. That's covering the Cowboys.
Yeah, and it's actually my follow-up, which is how does CeeDee Lamb remain without a contract extension for that long? How does Dak Prescott go into the final year of a contract again? He kills you against the cap because you got to pay that exorbitant cap hit. Is it just because that this is the way that Jerry does business, that these are storylines? This is almost like a TV show. It's a drama to where he plays these things out. I think he said about CeeDee Lamb that he wanted to see another year of CD play, to where every other owner or GM in the league, Devontae Smith, Justin Jefferson, any other wide receiver that's an elite talent, gets paid before their contract either going into the final year. Why does Jerry handle things like this?
The why is, yes, part of it is that he loves the negotiations. Like he loves being involved in that sort of thing. He thinks that's fun. That's his favorite thing. And part of it is probably that they have signed deals that haven't worked out for him. But it is really weird that the ones that they wait on the most and then have to pay absolute top of the market and basically say, what do you want? Here it is, are all of their best players. It's like they've made mistakes on okay players that they can get to come to the table because those players will sign the contract they offer them. Guys like Jalen Smith, Lyle Collins, have a no doubt number one wide receiver, a no doubt top of the league pass rusher. Like, we shouldn't have been talking about CeeDee Lamb or Dak Prescott this offseason. We should have been talking about Micah Parsons. He's 3 years in. You could sign him, and he might not hit you up for 40-something million like he will in a year or two. I don't have a great answer. I know that Jerry loves it. He loves being in the headlines. He loves that he signed Dak right in the nick of time, and that the Cowboys were the storyline, not only at 3:25 or Central Time anyway, but also for the noon games. The story was Dak because he just signed. He loves that he's the story at all times.
Oh, it's awesome. Well, as far as the game, Cowboys smoked the Browns. When people look at the Cowboys and even going into this season, I think you almost look at them like, all right, they're going to have regular season success. Then when you get to the postseason, where are they going to be? What did you think going into the year? And I mean, honestly, a week before the start of the regular season, CD wasn't signed long term and Dak wasn't signed long term. So you didn't know if that was going to have any type of an effect on chemistry and things like that. Now they're signed. How do you see this season? Is this a lot like the other seasons, a lot of regular season wins, and then let's see what happens when it gets to the postseason?
Yeah, I think it is. This is the most upset, apathetic. Those are two very different things, but some combination of those things. Last year's Green Bay game crushed a bunch of people. And it'll be interesting to see because there's a bigger part of the fan base than I've ever seen saying things like, regular season doesn't even matter. I don't care. None of it matters. You show me what you're going to do in the playoffs. And I do think that they will play in the postseason. But yeah, there's a lot of people who now are just like, it doesn't matter. All that matters is, can you actually do something when you get there? Wake me up when you get there. But I think they're good enough to go back there again and just see what happens. Their offseason was weird because they didn't sign anybody. But now it looks like they had a really good draft class. And there were some pleasant surprises in the week 1 game. So they win 12 every year. This year it might be 10 or 11. And yeah, I expect they'll be back in the playoffs. And for a lot of people, they'll say, I don't care because I expect to get run by the first team we see.
Man, and you know what? It sucks to have to live like that. I remember with the Eagles, 2002, they lost the NFC Championship game. 2003, it was more or less like, all right, let's just get back to the NFC Championship so we can go to the Super Bowl. Then they lose that year. And the entire 2004 season, even though we enjoyed Terrell Owens, we didn't care about the regular season. It was, you got to get to the Super Bowl. And you're right. If you're a Cowboy fan right now, how do you care about, right? Dak throws huge numbers in the regular season, lots of touchdowns. Then when they get to the playoffs, it's a different story. I wanted to ask you about Dak because this isn't a young player anymore, right? Like he's in, I believe going into his 10th season, he's 31. He just got another huge contract. What does the fan base think of Dak? Is there a lot of fatigue with Dak Prescott? And is it more or less just like, hey, we're going to blame you until you win, so go ahead and go out there and win?
I think it's no different than Tony Romo was. There are people who appreciate the fact that he's really good at playing quarterback in the NFL and want that to translate to more postseason success and know that it hasn't and that sucks. And there are people who, if he doesn't win a Super Bowl, Dak sucks. And that's the challenge. That's the challenge of a big portion of your fan base got to win 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. Although I would imagine that the vast majority of that fan base, well, there's a lot of people who definitely weren't alive when that happened that cheer for the Cowboys. So I don't know why they have that expectation. But yeah, Dak is incredibly split the Metroplex. I fall in the camp of I will bet on the good quarterback. Pay the good quarterback, keep him around. Lamar Jackson has 2 playoff wins. I'll take him. Dak has 2 playoff wins. I'll take him. Justin Herbert has no playoff wins. I'll take him. I'll take the good quarterback, get back there again, try again. Play better when you actually get to the postseason. But yeah, there are absolutely people who think, and it's not a small subset of Cowboy fans, that he's a choke artist or he just isn't the answer or he just can't do it, which is a weird, it's all very strange to me. It's a weird label to put on someone who went toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers in a playoff game as a rookie, who retired Tom Brady in a playoff game, who he's not a choke artist. He has not consistently played well enough in a small sample size in the postseason, but he's a very, very good quarterback. Get back, try again, and then we'll freak out when they lose again, and we'll try to run him out of town.
Rinse and repeat. Just do it all over again. 2-5 in the playoffs, and like last year, the defense gave it up last year against the Lions. I think he threw for, and a lot of these were behind, playing from behind yards, but he didn't have a terrible game last year. Cowboys schedule. All right. So they beat the Browns. I wanted to go over this with you. They play the Eagles the 9th game of the season, Jeff, November 10th. What will the Cowboys record be when they enter 4:25 or 3:25 Central Time? Hosting the Eagles. Let's go through the games. Tell me what you think. Home this week against the Saints. That's a win.
Cowboys beat the Saints, yeah.
Home against the Ravens. Tougher game. Ravens are coming off playing the Raiders. So they play the Raiders this week and then they're at the Cowboys.
Give the Ravens that one.
It's a tough game. Thursday Night Football, Giants at the Giants.
Cowboys by 100.
Sunday Night Football, so they get that little mini bye at the Steelers.
Cowboys by 50.
Home against the Lions.
If I gave the Ravens a win against the Cowboys, should I give the Cowboys a win against the Lions?
Into a bye week, too.
Yeah. Cowboys over Lions.
All right. At the Niners, Sunday Night Football.
Loss.
Lose by 50. At Atlanta.
Win by 50.
Right. So I have them with 2 losses, 6-2 entering week 9. Jeff Cavanaugh. Sound good?
Yeah, I think 6-2, 5-3 at worst. Yeah, I think they'll be 6-2, and I think that there's even a chance that they are better than that when they get there. Who knows? Football's wild. I thought they had such a terrible offseason, and then we got to training camp, and I'm like, holy crap, they had an incredible draft, though. And this is what they do. They don't try in free agency. They don't try in trading because they're kind of cheap. And then eventually their personnel department, Will McClay and them, identify good players on the cheap or draft and develop, and they get you right back in. I want to be mad at y'all for not trying your best, and they get you right back in.
They do draft well. And that's part of the problem is they use the money on their own players. That's why they're not big players in free agency. But you figure this year, if they would have just designed contracts that worked against the cap, they could have improved the team more. But good old Jer in Jerry's world.
Yeah, you could have done the Dak deal. I knew what Dak deal was going to be a year ago, 6 months ago, whatever.
Right.
We knew what the CD deal was going to be a year ago, 6 months ago, whatever. You do either one of those deals and you can sign whoever you want. They had $20 million in cap space coming into the season anyway. They could have signed whoever they wanted. It's wild that they just decide. I don't know. I don't know what the plan was with not doing free agency. And I guess it's just preparing for all the big deals coming, where it's like, we got to carry over some cap space because their cap numbers are going to start going up, whatever. Other teams don't care. Philly's got like 8 $20 million players on average with their average salary. Of them count $20 million against the cap this year. You can play with the cap. Do accounting, move it back, get good players, try to win the Super Bowl. Jerry, you jerk.
Yeah, the cap's the biggest fraud in all of sports. You just kick everything into the future and you pay money now. The Eagles pay everybody. Everybody on the team's making top money. It's unbelievable. So, Jeff, how's it going so far? So, DLLS is the equivalent of PHLY down in Dallas. You guys are like 3 weeks since you launched, 3 or 4 weeks now since you launched. You've been on the sports scene in Dallas-Fort Worth for a long, long time. It was a big hire getting you over here with ALLCITY. How's it going so far? And you do our show is with Zach Berman and Bo Wolf and Jamie Lynch. That's our Eagle show, PHLY Eagles. You do the same thing with the Cowboys. How's everything going?
Yeah, it's great. It's really fun. Starting it and seeing like where we hang out with our coworkers is in Slack, if people know what Slack is. And so when it was getting started and I was like, yeah, I'm going to join. Seeing some of the names that popped in, I was like, yay. Because like our Maverick people, our Stars people, our Rangers people, our Cowboy people, all of them are people who've been doing this a long time that are friends of mine. That are incredibly good at what they do. And it's super fun. I think the idea is awesome, where you have content for every sports team, one place. You don't pretend that anybody needs to fill 5 hours of time. Right. No, here's your Cowboy show, here's your Ranger show, here's your Star show, here's your Mavs show. Oh, is whatever's going on with the team. Guess what? Clarence Hill's been covering this team for 29 years. Him and Joe Hoyt are writing about it on the website. It's everything all in one place, and it is digital. It's where we're going, and I'm having a blast.
And it's not 4 hours of radio 5 days a week like we did for many years, Jeff. How great is that?
I did 15 years I did about 8 of those were 5-hour show.
Because G-Bag Nation was 10. It was 10 to 3, or you guys were 10
We were 10 to 3, and then we were 2 to 7. When we were middays, we were 10 to 3. Then we moved to afternoon drive. We were 2 to 7. So it was just like, yeah.
All right, yeah. Last thing. What do you think of the Eagles this year? Because we talk about it. We talk ourselves in the Super Bowls, and they're not making the playoffs, and then whatever. At least from my perspective, this is a very good football team. I expect it's the Eagles and Cowboys at the end of the season fighting out for the division. Comes down to how good Jalen Hurts can develop again this year. But your view from Dallas, what do you think of the Eagles in this race this year?
I shockingly agree with the guy who sees everything that the Eagles do. I see them the same way, where I think that weapons, great. Running backs, really good. Defense, confusing. Like last year, what happened to them last year, I was just like, wait, the names on paper isn't matching up to what they're doing. And so I don't know if maybe Jalen Carter and who's my other Jordan Davis. I don't know if my N'Kobe Dean, like all of the guys who I really liked doing draft stuff. I'm like, are they not performing? And the secondary was bad. And so like Philly confuses me because I thought what they had on paper couldn't have fallen apart like that team did last year. And then going into this year, I guess that's just who I view as who they are, is I think that the offense is awesome if the quarterback's any good. And the defense front should be good. And the rest I go, we'll see. But yeah, I think the Eagles and Cowboys are going to win 10 to 12 games. The Giants and Washington are going to win 4 to 6 games. And we're going to do the NFC East like we do the NFC East every year. Well, we'll see which one wins it and which one gets second. And then we'll all go home in the playoffs.
Haven't been a back-to-back NFC East winner since 2004.
No time like the present, baby. Sounds like the Eagles are going to win the division.